We've all seen the images of plastic choking our beaches and oceans, but today, we're diving into an invisible battle happening inside the water itself. Exactly. We are talking about microplastics, a growing, unseen threat to our waterways. We've been studying a specialized report that maps out not just the problem in India's major rivers, but also the tech being used to combat it. This report highlights a huge challenge, because we aren't just talking about visible trash. It's much more microscopic. It's about particles per liter, and once you grasp how tiny these are, you see why you can't just scoop them up with a net. Microplastics are particles per liter, too small to scoop with a net. This is truly an invisible enemy. The report we shared breaks down the findings from India's 5 major rivers, and the numbers are truly jarring. These aren't just abstract numbers. They represent a microscopic blizzard flowing through the ecosystem. The sheer density of these particles is the problem. The Ganga is unfortunately at the top of the list, measured at 14 particles per liter. To put that into perspective, if you were drinking from that source, that could mean over 30 microplastic fragments a day. Right behind the Ganga, you have the Brahmaputra at 13.5 particles and the Yamuna at 12.5 particles per liter. The other major rivers aren't far behind. The Godavari and Krishna are both measured around 10 particles per liter. So how do you fight an invisible blizzard like this? The report lists a whole toolkit of high-tech solutions. The technology toolkit outlined in the report offers hope against this widespread pollution, featuring some very intense-sounding names. Let's start with electrocoagulation. This method is listed with an impressive 98% success rate. It sounds complex, but the basic idea is simple. You use electricity to make those tiny particles clump together, making them bigger and heavier until you can actually skim them off the surface. Then there are membrane bioreactors, or MBRs, which are listed with a 92% success rate. That's a perfect analogy. MBRs act as a microscopic sieve, using very fine membranes to filter out the small microplastic particles. The technology is clearly advancing, providing us with powerful tools in this invisible battle. The sheer density of these particles demands immediate, scalable solutions to protect our crucial river ecosystems. However, we must also consider the implementation challenges and costs associated with deploying these high-tech solutions widely. Welcome to an in-depth look at microplastic cleanup, where efficiency meets the harsh realities of practicality. We often hear about high-tech solutions, but why do reports still mention less efficient methods? It's all about practicality and infrastructure. Let's explore the efficiency ratings of various cleanup technologies and see why context matters for deployment. Electrocoagulation boasts a massive 98% efficiency. However, this technology demands a ton of energy and a big industrial setup, making it challenging for broad use. On the other hand, biochar absorbents at 85% and biocoagulants at 75% are much more sustainable and easier to use in remote areas. It's about having the right tool for the right place. Now, let's look at the limitations of more traditional or manual cleanup methods, particularly when facing the invisible threat of microplastics. The efficiency drops significantly with methods we often see in the news. Trash booms are only at 60%, and community cleanups are even lower, at 35% for microplastics. The hard truth is, you can't volunteer your way out of a microplastic crisis with a pair of gloves. The particles are simply too small for manual collection. Despite the challenges, a roadmap is in place for national reduction targets. Let's look at the goals for the coming years. The target for 2026 is a 20% reduction, which ramps up to 30% by 2028, and a final goal of a 50% total reduction by 2030. If we have technology that is 98% efficient in a lab setting, why is the ultimate national goal only 50%? This is the key question that highlights a huge disconnect. The answer lies not in the technology itself, but in the sheer scale of the problem. It's the difference between cleaning a single gallon of water in a controlled lab environment and attempting to filter the entire moving Ganga river system. It's like trying to filter a moving ocean. A 50% reduction in a river system that large is truly a monumental engineering feat. This puts the challenge into perspective. So we have cutting-edge technology, from electricity-based systems to simple charred wood, all trying to save the world's major rivers. The struggle reminds us that even with perfect technology, the real-world application is a huge battle against the magnitude of nature itself. If the tech can remove almost everything in a controlled setting, but the national goal is only half that by 2030, what would it actually take to close that remaining 48% gap?